doing today. Hopefully everyone is doing well. This is Curtis with 3-Tier Defense. Today's video we're going to go over drawing from a holster in a defensive situation. I have a few different holsters on me, a few different firearms. I have an outside the waistband holster which has my Glock in it. It does not have a magazine in it and it is empty. So that's what I'm going to be using for the outside the waistband. I have a inside the waistband here, appendix. This is my Springfield XDS. There is a magazine here, but it is not loaded. Go ahead and open the slide. There's not a round in the barrel on that firearm. And we have lower back carry as well. We got it canted off here to the side. This is actually a Smith & Wesson shield. There's no magazine here. There's no round in the chamber. So we'll be going over a few different holster positions and actually drawing in a defensive situation from a holster. If I can get this back into my holster on my back. But there are, as you see, a few different ways that you can actually carry a firearm when dealing with holsters. You can have an inside the waistband holster. You can have an outside the waistband holster. You may actually see the inside the waistband holster labeled as IWB. When you're looking at holsters, that means inside the waistband holster. And you'll also see OWB, which is outside the waistband holster. You do have some holsters that you can use for inside the waistband and outside the waistband. So with those, you would just see IWB/OWB holster. So that just basically means it's inside the waistband and outside the waistband. All right. So when you're looking at defense, like I stated before in one of my previous videos, I usually do appendix carry inside the waistband. All right. So that'll be this position here in the front, inside of the waistband. You do have a lot of people that carry outside the waistband holsters. You can conceal it where it's like that. Or you can have it outside the waistband and you can have it open carry. Just depends on the laws of your state. If your state allows you to do open carry in that state, then you can actually have your firearm showing. Whether you're doing outside the waistband, side position, ambidextrous position, or the small of the back or the rear position as well. As you notice on my small of the back, I do not have my firearm directly in the middle of my back, which they'll call that a 6 o'clock position. I do not carry a firearm in the middle of my back. I rarely carry a firearm in my back at all anyway. I usually do appendix carry here. I'll only do outside the waistband hip carry if I'm on duty or something like that. I usually don't do outside the waistband or hip carry if I'm doing a concealment. But again, as you see, it's canted off to the side, whether it'll be on the left-hand side or it'll be on the right-hand side. I never put it in the middle. And the reason that I never put my firearm at 6 o'clock right in the middle is because that's where your spine is, okay? Your spine is running down the middle of your back here. So you really don't want to put a firearm directly in the middle of your back. And the reason being for that, let's say if you get into a tussle and you can't really get to your firearm, let's say you're actually fighting with someone or wrestling with someone and both of your hands are actually in front of you and you do have your firearm on the back of you. Let's say that person gets a little bit of the best of you and you actually go down on your back. All right, I'll just use this for a little bit, but let's say you basically fall on your back, okay? That firearm is in the middle of your back, so you can risk damaging your spine, you can risk paralyzing yourself and stuff like that. So you really don't want to carry it directly in the small of your back. You want to can it off to either the left side or the right side, depending on what hand is your strong hand, or which hand you're more comfortable with actually pulling your firearm on. You carry it on that side. Usually for women, I tell women never carry a firearm in your back. I usually just say that that's more so for men. And the reason that I say that is because usually men have their wallets and just in their back pocket, rather in their back pocket on the right side, back pocket on the left side, depending on what the strong hand is. So if a incident is actually taking place and a man is asked for his wallet, he has to go back there anyway. So if you put your firearm back there where your wallet would be, you already have to put your hand back there to your back to even get your wallet. All right. And in a situation as far as a woman, I'll either say do ambidextrous carry here in the front, or they also have some belly bands as well, depending on what type of outfits, what type of clothing you all wear. A belly band might be a better option than doing an appendix carry. An appendix carry here with a larger firearm is usually better for like bigger clothes, bigger baggier clothes. Like with my shirt, I got on the baggier shirt. And even with my shirt down, you can't see my firearm here on the side. You can't see my firearm here in the front. Not sure if you can really see it in the back, but you know, with men wearing bigger clothes, it's a little bit easier to conceal it. So with one of those bands, whether you put it around your stomach here or whether you lower it a little bit, in my professional opinion, I'll say lower the band a little bit more to where it sits a little lower. That way you don't have to lift your shirt all the way up to try to get your firearm to come out. You can still barely lift your shirt up and still come from your band here at the bottom to go ahead and be able to defend yourself. Also, a reason that I actually carry my firearm in the front is because I want everything to stay in front of me. Sometimes you may have more than one attacker. You could have somebody off to the side. You could have somebody behind you. But you may have one main attacker that's coming here from the front. So I want to be able to deal with this person, be able to attack this person, get my reactionary gap, still be able to pull my firearm, and I'm looking at everything in front of me. And then, like I say, both of my hands are actually in front of me, whether me trying to do this and go behind myself and pull my firearm out. On the side is good as well because it's right here on your hip. That's easy to be able to do it that way as well. But like I say, with me, myself, I like doing appendix carry where my firearm is here in the front. All right. So let's say if you're in a defensive situation and you have an appendix carry here in the front. Somebody is attacking you. If they're within 1 to 3 feet from you, no matter where your firearm is, you really don't want to pull it. You want to get a reactionary gap. The rule of thumb with the reactionary gap is 3 to 6 feet. So now we really just came out of COVID. The distance was 6 feet. So that's basically a reactionary gap distance. When you look at like law enforcement officers and things like that, they really want to be outside of 6 feet. Because even when somebody is attacking you or trying to run into you, it really doesn't take nothing but a couple seconds to close the distance on a 6 foot gap. So you really want to be outside of that 6 foot gap. But if you're being attacked, somebody is right in your personal space, which is right up on you, or they're within 1 to 3 feet away from you to where they can still reach out and touch you. Okay? So you want to be careful what you're trying to pull your firearm before you try to get your reactionary gap, because if somebody is that close and you're trying to pull your firearm, they're close enough to be able to grab your hand to stop you from pulling your firearm. They're close enough, even if it's on the side, to be able to stop you from pulling your firearm. The only way you'll be able to pull your firearm and be at a distance to where you can cleanly pull your firearm will probably be back carry in this situation. Okay, with somebody up this close. But again, you only have one hand to defend yourself in the front, and your other hand is going behind you to actually pull your firearm. Okay, so you want to try to get that reactionary gap. That way, either you're coming from your appendix, you're coming from your hip, or if you're coming from your side, but you can still have enough time to be able to pull your firearm. Again, if somebody is within that 3 to 5 foot gap, you can do hip shooting to where, let's say if you're coming from your hip and you're basically be shooting from the hip. Because if you pull your firearm and try to bring it out in front of you, again, you're almost handing them the firearm. So with the firearm being down like this, trying to come up, people, they can hit the firearm down, they can knock the firearm out of your hand, and things like that. So instead of actually trying to come up to get on point with the firearm, you may want to shoot from the hip, pull your firearm, and shoot from the hip as you're backing up, and then bring the firearm out in front of you to be able to defend yourself. Okay? So you want to make sure you're really paying attention to the altercation and the distance in between you and the person that's attacking you. Again, you could have multiple attackers. It could be somebody here in the front, but they could have somebody over here to the side that's with them, that's actually watching, or ready to jump into you to attack you if you're actually in the best of their friend. You could have somebody over here on the side. So you really want to pay attention to your surroundings. Okay. It's hard to see behind you. But one of the things that I do, looking at a defensive situation, I do what's basically called the baseball look. All right. So if you know anything about baseball, if you're looking at a pitcher, if nobody is on base, they're paying attention to the person that's at the plate. But if you have somebody on first and they're turning their back this way, they'll look at base at a home plate, get their sign, they'll come like this, and then you'll see them tip their head down and look behind them. All right, so I basically call it the baseball look. So I can really do it on both sides. And the only thing, like if I see an attack coming in front of me, I'll basically just do a little quick dip and look behind me over my shoulder that way, and I'll do one this way. I can't really see directly behind me, but even doing it this way or this way, you can pretty much see you're opening your field of view. Because as far as like looking this way with your peripherals, you basically just see from the sides into the front. You can't see behind you. So when you dip your head down, your peripheral is basically giving you more of a view of what's behind you. So if you're doing it on both sides, even if you're doing it that way, you're pretty much doing the 360 look of what's going on. So if you have an attacker in front of you, you can already see off to the left and the right side here in the front. But, you know, if you're talking and stuff like that, you're bagging up, you can do like a little quick look behind you, you know, to make sure you're not backing up to a curb, backing up to an obstacle or anything like that. You really don't want to have your back to, let's say like depending on the area that you're in. If you're backing up, depending on if you have a wall or something like that behind you, you want to try to have, if you can, have a wall behind you if somebody is attacking you from the front. Reason being is because that's actually closing off your back area. So the only thing you have to focus on is your sides and your front. So if you're backing up, if there's a wall that's near you, back up to that wall. That way you're closing off. Nobody can attack you from the back area. All right, so everything is already in front of you. But if you don't have that option, let's say it's happening in the street or something like that, and you're backing up, you don't want to trip over a curb or anything like that because you'll be off balance, you'll be defenseless because now you have to try to get up and all of that. But again, getting back to the holsters, you do have a lot of people, again, like I say, that may carry open carry here on the side, whether they do ambidextrous carry in the front or back carry. One of the things with me, the reason I don't do open carry in any area is because if someone sees your firearm, they know that you have a firearm, but they can come up with a way to attack you based on where your firearm is positioned at. So if you're showing your firearm and it's here on the hip and somebody wants to rob you, they know that you have to go to your firearm here on this side to be able to pull it. You know, so they'll basically try to attack you to where they're cutting off you getting to your firearm on this side. That's why I like to cover my firearm and have it here in the front. Also, if you look at your shirt, the way that shirts are usually made, in the front and in the back, it usually fits bigger than on the sides. Men and women both have hips. Women hips are wider than men hips are. So on the side, because your shirt will actually taper in on the side, you'll be able to see the bulge better looking on the side. You can't really see it in this shirt because the shirt is black, but if I had on a white shirt or a lighter color shirt, you'll be able to see my firearm on the side. Even having it concealed, you'll be able to see it better than you can in the front or in the back. Even though I do have this is a larger firearm than my XDS, but even with that, I can carry my Glock here in the front, and again, it's inside the waistband, so it's actually being pressed to my body and not being exposed out and having all of your metal and everything on the outside of your pants. So it's a lot easier to conceal it when it's inside of the waistband itself. So again, if you're in a altercation, the best thing to do, if possible, is to talk your way out of that altercation or to back up far enough to where you can actually leave. Okay? If this person doesn't have a firearm or anything like that, you'll just have to fight. Depending on your size, depending on if this person is a lot bigger than you, if you reasonably believe that this person can actually do harm to you with just their bare hands, again, depending on your size, depending on the size of the attacker, if you feel that they can do physical harm to you with just their bare hands, then you can go ahead and defend yourself with a firearm. But if they just have their bare hands, you can't really shoot them if they're, because your life is really not in imminent danger. When you're using your firearm, your life, the life of another person, the life of a family member has to be in imminent danger for you to justifiably use your firearm. So let's say with myself, if there's somebody trying to attack me or coming at me with aggression and they're my same size, I'll have to fight. Okay, I just can't shoot them because I feel that I'm scared of them. All right, if I don't think that they'll reasonably believe that they can actually do harm to me with just their bare hands, I know it's hard to figure that out because you don't know what training somebody have, what background somebody have. Somebody could be my size, be MMA trained, be a boxer, be karate trained, anything. I don't know what type of training they have, but I have to fight first to see what training they have before I could just shoot them and say that I felt in fear of my life. Okay, if they don't have a firearm. Of course, if somebody's trying to attack you with a knife, a bat, a close quarter weapon, your close quarter weapons is basically like a crowbar, a knife, a bat, something that they have to be close to you to actually hit you or to harm you. That's a close quarter weapon. A stun gun, that's a close quarter weapon. If you're looking at somebody that, let's just say they may have a taser, that's more of a distance weapon, because with the taser, it actually has charges, and those charges could come out. So you can actually shoot somebody with a taser at a distance. You don't have to be up close to them to actually harm them with that weapon. And then, of course, a firearm or anything like that, something that you can cause serious injury and or death with distance in between you all, you can use your firearm. But if it's a close quarter weapon, depending on what it is, like I said, if it's a knife, bat, crowbar, something like that, something that cause severe injury and or could cause death, then you can go ahead and defend yourself with your firearm. Okay, again, but you have to look at the laws of your state, see what your state says, and be able to take it from there, looking at different scenarios, talk to a police department, talk to a police officer, judge, something like that. That way you have a good understanding of what the law is in your state, depending on different scenarios and things of that sort. You don't want to make a mistake and shoot somebody. They come to do their investigation. They say, well, you had room to leave, you had room to run, or whatever. Then you have to explain that as well. All right. So when you're looking at a defensive situation, if somebody is approaching you and they come up to you, again, if they're close to you, within 1 to 3 feet, they're close enough to be able to reach out and touch you. You want to get a distance between you and them. Okay. But if you're backing up, you don't want to walk backwards where you're doing straight steps back. You want to try to make sure that you have a good base when you're backing up. If you look at a boxing stand, if you've been a boxer or know about boxers, they actually come back. Or even if you play basketball or something like that, they don't step back when they're defending. All right, they're basically sliding back. Okay, so when you're looking at defense, you don't want to really walk back because you're off balance. So you basically, for the most part, kind of want to slide back a little bit, but you always want to make sure you have your strong foot in the back and your weak foot up here in the front. That way, again, as you're walking back, let's say I'm walking straight back. If my heel hit a curb, because I'm trying to come back a little bit quicker, if my heel hit a curb, I'm not expecting for it to be there, so I'll go down. So now again, I'm defenseless. I'm trying to get myself back up. That person could just jump on top of me or whatever. So you want to make sure that everything is in front of you and make sure you have a good base while you're trying to defend yourself. Again, if that person is that close, do a chest strike. Put your hand out as you're stepping back. Do something to try to get a gap between you and the attacker if you're going to go ahead and pull your firearm. I'm going to go ahead and put this on the outside. But like I said, if you're doing outside the waistband carry, let's say if somebody's trying to attack you from the front, backing up, you can pull your firearm. But again, if they're this close, if you're coming up, you don't want to come up and come out to hand them the firearm. You can shoot from the hip to back them up, and then you can bring the firearm out as you're walking toward them, giving verbal directions. Okay? Back up, back up, back up. Stay there, stay there. Or you can put them on the ground and just cover them. Basically, if you got your firearm over somebody, even if your finger is framed, it's basically what you call cover. So you're covering that person with the firearm, giving them verbal commands. Okay? As you're giving them verbal commands, you still want to make sure you clear your scene as well. But you're still talking to this person. Again, if they have a friend off to the side, you can see that person trying to come to attack you. So now you can change your direction. So let's say if I'm covering this person, back up, back up, back up. But I see this person coming this way, back up, back up. I can go ahead and transition over to this person, even though I can still see this person in my peripheral vision. So now I'm giving this person here verbal commands as well. If I see that they're coming toward me, they have a firearm. If I transition over and see that they have a firearm, I can go ahead and shoot from here, and then go ahead and cover that person as well as I'm backing up to get it to where I have both of them in my view, and I don't have to continue to turn my head side to side. Okay, so you want to make sure when you're coming up in a defensive situation, again, if somebody is attacking you from the front, get your reactionary gap. You can shoot from here, come up and come out, or you can shoot from the hip, come up to your chest, shoot from the chest, and then come out, either as you're walking forward to cover them, or if you're backing up and just standing your ground to actually cover them. If you see somebody coming from any direction, again, you'll basically want to canter your body to where it's at a 45-degree angle toward the person that's coming towards you as well. So again, if I got a person coming at me from my left side, I can transition over to this person, but I'm not turning my entire body now positioned to this person here. Okay? Me having a cant this way, I can still fire on this person and still burly turn to still be able to cover the first attacker that I had. So you want to make sure your body is always in a position to where you can transition to either side the way that you need to and as quick as you need to. I can shoot here, bang, bang. If I see this person is trying to get up or is reaching for a firearm, I can still transition back over to him as well. So I can shoot this person, bang, bang, transition back to this person while I'm still looking at this person out of my periphery. Okay? So that's why I really don't want to stand this way and then do a full turn to transition over to this person, because now, again, if this person here is doing something, I have to transition my body back over to this person. That way I can feel that I'm angled directly toward this person. So it's a lot of turning and stepping, trying to get on point and on target with both attackers, to where all you have to do is basically have this person covered, and the only thing I'm doing, I'm just opening my stance a little bit and angling my body over to the other attacker. So the only thing I'm doing from this person is basically coming up to this person. And like I said, the only thing I did is I lift my foot or slide my foot a little bit to open up my stance to be able to transition over to this person, to where I'm not, have a closed stance and then trying to do this and have to move every part of my body to try to transition over. Or again, if you got three people, if you got somebody here, and somebody coming here, you can still basically be able to transition to all three people. So if I'm here, bang, 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 bang. So the only thing I'm doing is opening my stance up, moving from whatever side I need to move to actually transition over to whatever side I need to transition to. But again, I still have this person here in the front. So if I'm just bogged down on this person, I don't want to be tunnel vision, because once you're tunnel vision on somebody, you don't see anything else around you. All right? So you want to make sure that you're observing everything that's in your surroundings around wherever this area is at. You want to make sure you know what's going on around you. Again, use your voice. Give verbal commands. If you have other people that are around, if you're talking loud, they're going to look. Okay? Right now you have just about everybody that you come in contact with has a cell phone. A lot of people are pulling their cell phones out, doing situations like that and recording. Okay? So make sure that you're using your voice. Sometimes you can use your voice and not even have to pull your firearm. If somebody come to attack you and they're asking you for your purse, your wallet, use your voice. Ask them again what they want. Okay? If somebody walk up to you, give me your wallet. Give me your purse. Oh, you want my purse? You want my wallet? Okay. Because you want to get people around to start looking at what's going on. That in itself can stop an attack. Because attackers really want to be, what's the word? Incognito. When they're doing an attack, they don't want you to say anything. That's why a lot of times when they attack you, they'll always come up and be like, shut up. You know what I'm saying? They don't want you to say anything because they want to try to do everything as quiet as possible. Use your voice. Make people around look at stuff. Okay? Because again, once they pull that cell phone out and start recording, if you do end up having to transition to your firearm to defend yourself, it's on tape now, or it's on a cell phone now. So when the police come to do their investigation, they'll ask people for their cell phones. They actually have video of you basically telling this person to get away from you. So now they know that it's an attack or something going on. So if you do end up having to strike them, transition to your firearm to come up, and you do end up shooting them, all that's on video now. Okay, so you want to make sure if you can't get to your phone to record the incident, which you really don't want to record it on your phone anyway, because if you do have to transition to your firearm to shoot, you want to be able to use your phone to call 911. To get the police rolling, ask for, you call 911, you want the police to come and you want the ambulance to come at the same time. Because you don't want to make it look like that you're just trying to murder somebody that's attacking you. So you want to try to get that person help. Yes, they attacked you, stuff like that. Of course, you're upset. You really probably don't care if they die or whatever. You're really trying to kill them or whatnot. But you don't want to make it seem like you're heartless and you don't care. So when you call 911, you want to make sure that you have the police en route. You want to make sure that you have the ambulance en route as well. That way you're actually trying to get help for this person that has attacked you. It just doesn't look like you're a heartless person. All right. Let me see. So that's somebody attacking you and you're drawn from the hip. All of these are really the same. If somebody's attacking you and you have appendix carry, it's still the same thing. If you have to shoot from the hip, come here, shoot straight from the hip, and then come out in front of you. Okay? Of course, on the side, pulling from the side, you can basically just pull out the holster and tip straight up to shoot from the side and then transition out in front of you, or shoot from the side, transition up to your chest and fire, or you can come straight from the side here and come out. You really don't have to always transition to your chest to come out in front of you, but that's giving you a line of sight. Okay, if you shoot from here and you're coming out in front of you this way, when you get up, then you have to get your sights on target. But if you come up, shoot from here, and then come out in front of you this way, you're basically lining your sights up as you're coming out in front of you. Okay? Whichever way you train, whichever way is more convenient, easier for you, use that way in a defensive situation. However you train, that's going to be the quickest way and the most effective way for you to get on target with your shots as you're shooting in a defensive situation. So again, coming from the appendix carry, again, everything is done in front of you, but they can't see that you have a firearm on you. So if they attack you, they don't know if you have a firearm or not. Okay, so if you have an appendix carry in the front, if you have it in your back or whatever, they can't see that firearm. So when they attack you, make sure that you can get the reactionary gap. Again, whether if you're just doing a chest strike and backing up at the same time, whether you do a face strike and back up at the same time, and as you're doing that, you're actually in a transition point to pull your firearm as well. Get back and come up this way, or just strike, back up, you know, and see what's going on. If you don't need to pull your firearm and you're just in a physical fight, altercation, go ahead and fight, okay? That's why you always want to make sure you have a holster that is either, like I said, in the situation of a woman, it's a belly band, so it's not just going to fall off. Most of the holsters that I carry are molded for the firearms that I have, okay? Like with my my Springfield XDS firearm, the holster that I have is actually a molded holster for that specific firearm. It actually has in here XDS. So it's basically telling me that this is molded for a XDS firearm. When I put this firearm in the holster, it'll click in. Alright, so it's basically just seating the firearm into the holster. As you see, the trigger guard is covered. You can't make a mistake when you're pulling this firearm from the holster and put your finger into the trigger guard to pull it. Everything is covered. Alright, but it's molded. They do have holsters that can fit multiple firearms depending on the size of the holster. And it can be used for inside or outside of the waistband, but it's a little bit flimsier, so you want to be careful with that. It might not have as much support, again, depending on what type of clothes you're wearing. Here now, because of the holsters that I have on, I have a belt on with these. Because on this holster, let's say with this one, it's the same thing with my Smith & Wesson holster in the back, but here on the bottom, this little part right here, that part sits up underneath the bottom part of your belt. Alright, so you want to put that part up underneath the bottom part of your belt. And the reason that you want to do that is because when you go to pull your firearm, you have to pull up on your firearm. So this part right here actually catches onto your belt. That way you're not pulling the entire holster out when you need to defend yourself in a defensive situation. So this part is going up under your belt. I actually wear this holster or this type of holster as well if I'm wearing jogging pants or something like that, but I actually have to pull the firearm out of the holster a little bit different because I don't have a belt on to actually get this little lip down here at the bottom to fit onto the jogging pants. So one of the other ways that when I'm wearing jogging pants, I already know that I have to transition a little bit differently to pull my to actually pull my firearm. I don't know if you'll really be able to see it, but actually it's not even inside the holster now. Let me get it put in right. Okay, so down here at the bottom on this holster, if I pull my firearm up, even if I snatch my firearm out of the holster, that bottom part is actually tucked up underneath my belt. So if I need to pull my firearm quick out of the holster, still my firearm is the only thing coming out. I'm not pulling the entire holster out. Alright? So you want to look at holsters like that and make sure that, let's say if you wear a belt a lot, if you wear suits and stuff like that, you wear a belt a lot, or even if you wear jogging pants. If I had on a pair of jogging pants, I would, like I say, I would actually pull my firearm different. And the way that I'll do it with a pair of jogging pants on is even if I strike, I'll bring my striking hand down or my weak hand down to my jogging pants, and I'll basically hold my jogging pants and the back part of the holster, and then I'll grip down to hold the holster onto my pants to pull my firearm itself, and then I'll let my pants go to, bring my support hand up to meet my my strong hand on my firearm. So I can still do that a little bit quicker. Again, it's all practice. The training and everything like that you have is different ways that you can practice these techniques. And it's always good to practice with your holsters wherever you carry it. If you're doing like a alternate carry as well, if you're planning on wearing an ankle holster, the belly band, you always want to practice your draw. That way you can make sure in a defensive situation that you can draw your firearm quickly to be able to defend yourself or somebody else in a situation to where it could get fatal or it could be a serious injury. So again, in a situation to where I may have on jogging pants or something like that and I still have my holster here in the front, I'll strike and come up this way. Okay? So I'll basically, again, just pull my hand down after I strike, because striking them is go stun. It usually stuns an attacker. If you strike them, if you push them or hit them in the chest, they'll probably just look down and may take a step back. But if you strike them in the face, it's go stun them for a minute. That'll give you enough time to actually be able to pull your hand down to get your firearm out. Alright, so you want to make sure that you practice different strike movements coming back to pull your firearm, whether it's on your hip, whether it's in the small of your back. So let's say with me having two holsters now, I can actually train both ways because I have both ways or both firearms in that position. So if I'm coming with an appendix carry, if I strike, I know I'm coming this way. Okay, so I'll train that way a few times, or I'll strike and come from the hip and be able to come back up and be back on target. Whether it's coming straight out and I have a reactionary gap to be able to come straight out, or if I need to put my firearm back and I really don't have that much space and I only have enough space to come from the hip, so I'm striking, coming from the hip, bringing that hand up, and then coming out. And then also, when you're doing that type of training, again, you want to make sure that you're practicing covering the person. So again, let's say you shoot, bang, bang, that person drops. Cover that person, look around, all right? You really don't want to bring the firearm off that person and scan the area this way, because if you still have your finger on the trigger and you're scanning, if you hear something that you're not expecting, whether it's a car backfiring, somebody yell, something, it's going to startle you. So if it startles you and you jump or tense up, you can shoot again. So you want to make sure if you're covering, after you fire on the attacker, if you're covering, you can either take your finger off the trigger and frame it and cover that way, or if you did have your finger on the trigger, you want to make sure that you're not easily startled by something that may happen that you don't see or are expecting to happen. That way you won't flinch up and fire again. Okay, because you can be covering and it can be somebody here to your left, somebody to your right that doesn't have anything to do with the altercation. They could even be recording the altercation. But if you're scanning and your finger's on the trigger and somebody yell, you could turn around and fire just tensing up. Okay? So you want to make sure if you're scanning, after you fire, go ahead and take that finger off the trigger. If you don't need to fire again, frame that finger and go ahead and scan. Nothing look like it's out of the ordinary. I don't see any other attackers. Then I'll go ahead and cover this person. But again, you're still paying attention to your peripheral vision. Now that this threat is no longer a threat, now I can go ahead and grab my phone, call the police, but I'm still paying attention to my surroundings, even when I'm on the phone with the police. Because now you have to remember, you have a firearm in one hand, you have your phone in another hand. So if somebody comes from somewhere to attack you, what do you have to defend yourself with? Except for just shooting. But if that person doesn't have a weapon or anything like that, you can't just shoot them. All right? So you have to make sure you know what's coming before it comes in a defensive situation. You don't want to transition and see somebody coming and put your firearm up, because they could have a firearm, and now if they're pulling it when you're on the phone with the police, you have to pay attention to the call, be able to pull your firearm and shoot to defend yourself in that situation also. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're always paying attention to what's going on. You want to make sure if you have people that's recording, you want to back up enough from the person that you actually had to shoot. You want to make sure that you go ahead and get some feet back. That way you can see and scan more of the area where that person is. All right. Let me see. Again, for men, if men do carry their firearm in the small of their back, again, it's the same thing. If you have to get your reactionary gap and you come in behind you to pull your firearm, all right, you still want to make sure that you're using all of your same fundamentals, your techniques. Everything is the same. You can pull your firearm from behind you and still be able to come around and shoot from the hip. But when you pull your firearm from behind you, you want to make sure that you have that finger on the side of the firearm as you're coming out. You want to transition to the trigger once you clear your body. Don't pull your firearm from behind you. Put your finger in the trigger and still be back here. Because if you make a mistake and pull that trigger and it's around in the chamber, you're going to shoot yourself. So you want to make sure that you always know where your finger is, where the firearm muzzle is pointing before you transition that finger into that trigger guard. Okay? Again, all of this basically is just practice. It takes some time to do it. It's easy to practice, but it's hard to do it in an actual defensive situation because you can't prepare for everything that may happen. You can prepare for certain things, but if something happened that is out of the ordinary, or if something happened that you haven't prepared for, you have to be able to quickly adjust to what's going on. Okay, especially when you have a firearm that's involved in it. You don't want to make a mistake, shoot the wrong person, shoot past the person and hit somebody else. None of that. You want to always make sure you know every round that comes out of your firearm, no matter where it goes, you're responsible for that round. Okay, so you don't just want to, let's say, with my Glock. This is a Glock 19 that comes with 15 rounds. Okay, some people carry 32 round magazines, 33 round magazines. They can put a 17 round magazine into the Glock 19. So like the Glock 17 has a 17 round magazine. It fits into the Glock 19. Okay, it fits into the Glock 26 as well. They're all 9mm, just different barrel lengths. But when you're coming around, know how many rounds are in your firearm. If you have a double stack magazine with more rounds in it, don't be the person to want to unload your firearm because you have that amount of rounds. Okay? One of my rules of thumb is if I can, I'm trying to defuse the situation with no more than 3 rounds. If it take me 2 rounds to get that situation taken care of or defuse the situation, I'm sticking with 2 rounds. I don't want to shoot 17 or 15 or 33 times at this one person because it's no longer self-defense. Okay? It's murder at that time because you shot too many times. It didn't take that many rounds to defend yourself. Okay? So you want to make sure you know how many rounds are in your firearm when you're doing defense. I've got to the point from doing military, law enforcement, all of that, I count rounds. So every time I shoot, I count a round. If I shoot 3 times, I know that I've shot 3 times. It's a 15 round magazine. I still got 12 in here. So I know that. And the reason that I count rounds when I shoot is because if I need to transition to another or if I need to reload, I know how many rounds I'm shooting. So when I shoot that 14th round, I'm going to go ahead and dump that magazine, reload with the other 15th round, with the other 15 round magazine, because I know I still have a round in the chamber. All right? That'll be my 15th round that's in the chamber off of the first magazine. So I go ahead and swap and put the second magazine in. That way I won't get caught with my slide lock open. All right? So then I'm shooting, my slide lock open. You really can't tell if you're looking this way that the slide is locked open. So you might try to pull the trigger again, which is going to throw you off a second. Then you'll probably pull back, see that it's open. Then you dump your magazine, put another one in, close, and you get back to firing. In a defensive situation, you might not have time to do all of that. So I count rounds to make sure I'm never caught in this position with my firearm. All right. So again, I'll shoot, bang, 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 get to that 14th round, drop, dump, because if I need to, if an attack is still coming and I've already shot 14 times, I drop that magazine, bring the other one up. If somebody's coming, even if I shoot, I still got a round in there to defend myself. So I can shoot that last round, go ahead and feed the magazine in, rack it, and still be able to go ahead and get back on target to defend myself some more. All right. Again, like it just depends on how you train. Different scenarios that you may have seen on movies, on TV. If you haven't personally been in an actual scenario to be able to train for that scenario, look at different movies. Look at, like, John Wick has a lot of scenarios of you being attacked in certain ways. Different ways that Keanu Reeves pull his firearm. Different ways when you do the transition. If he has an AR and he's shooting at somebody and it's actually wrapped around him, and then he goes into, let's say, something that's close quarter, you'll see him transition over. He'll basically move that rifle over, and he'll transition over to his handgun, shoot that, go ahead and holster his handgun, and then bring his rifle back out. All right, these are all transitions. Okay. Of course, you in normal world, you really would have to worry about any transitions and stuff like that or whatever. And plus, if you're doing concealment, you're probably not going to have a rifle on you and a handgun and all this stuff at the same time. But you do want to make sure that you're transitioning over if you're running out of rounds and you happen to dump that magazine to go ahead and feed another one in. You want to know if that firearm is empty, because if it's open, again, you can reload 2 different ways. You can go ahead and put the magazine in. You can close it and go ahead and get back on target. If it's open, you can put the magazine in, close it that way, get back on target. If it's closed, you can put the magazine in, go ahead and rack it, get back on target. Or if an attack is coming, put your magazine in, rack it, you can shoot from here and then come out. Okay? Every time you have to do something, you have to make sure you know, can I come all the way out and defend myself? Do I have to shoot from here and stay tight as I'm backing up? Do I have to transition back down to my hip to get some more of a reactionary gap and then come back up as I'm walking into or stepping up to defend myself? Or what all scenarios I'm putting myself into depending on what's going on. So it's again, it's a lot of different training that you can do. Make sure you always train, no matter if you're coming from the appendix carry. Make sure you're coming down, looking around. Make sure your area is clear. Take your step back, and then go. Even practice this. All right, practice keeping that person in cover. Practice grabbing your cell phone, whether it's you just call 911 or you have an emergency button on your phone that you can hit. But you don't want to have, let's say if there's a person in front of you, you don't want to do this to look at your phone and still have that person right there. Okay? Everything you want to do, you want to make sure that they're in sight of wherever your attacker is at. So if your attacker is here in front of you, you got your firearm there on your attacker. When you grab your phone, bring your phone out here in front of you. That way you can look at your phone and the attacker at the same time. Go ahead and make your call. Then bring your phone up to your ear. But you still have this person in your eyesight. Okay? You don't want to grab your phone and have to keep doing this as you're making your call and then come up. You want to make sure everything is actually in front of you. Go ahead and make your call. Bring it up to your ear. Let me see if there's really anything else. Another thing. Another reason I don't carry a firearm back here in the back. I've actually seen a few videos with people carrying their firearm in the back, but the thing is, it wasn't concealed. Okay, it wasn't covered to where people can't see the firearm. Their shirt was actually like this, so you can clearly see that they have a firearm in their back. Again, somebody can know how to attack you if they know where your firearm is at. So if you don't know that your shirt is up in the back, it's hard for you to know you need to pull your shirt down to cover your firearm. But if you don't know, let's say if you're in the store, in the gas station, something like that, there's people in there, you're getting out of your car, and again, when you sit in your car, your shirt might ride up. When you get out, it might kind of drop down to where you're now showing your holster and your firearm on your back, but you don't know that it's showing. Okay? Somebody standing behind you know how to attack you. So let's say if you have something in your hand, let's say, again, if you're at a gas station or something like that, you might have some water, a beer, anything or whatever in one hand, might have some chips or something in the other hand. You could be on the phone. You could have two items in one hand, on your phone with the other hand. If somebody goes to grab your firearm, for one, you're trying to figure out what's going on. So you're not just going to be in the mindset to drop everything to, to try to defend yourself. All right, you're going to be in a state of shock because somebody is doing something behind you and it's messing with you. Okay, so you want to make sure if you carry your firearm in the back, anytime you're getting out of a car or anything, you want to make sure that you're pulling your shirt down before you close your door to go ahead and go into whatever establishment you're going into. Okay, you don't want to get caught up on the phone, talking to a friend, family member, or something like that, and forget to adjust yourself when you're getting out of the car. Again, that's another reason I carry my stuff in the front. If my shirt is up like this in the front, all I got to do is basically just look down and see that my firearm is showing. Okay, before I close my door when I get out of my car, that's all I got to do. Okay, I don't have to worry if it's showing, worry if somebody can attack me from behind me and just grab my firearm or any of that. So I try to keep everything in front of me. That way, again, in a defensive situation, I already know how to go from either going from straight fighting to having to transition out to pull my firearm to, whatever. Put my firearm back, go back to fighting if I need to, or whatever, okay? So I keep everything in front of me rather than having to try to go behind me and I'm taking that arm away from myself, okay? I can do this. If I make a mistake and can't get to my firearm on the first pull, I can still go back and still bring my arm back up to be able to fend that person off long enough to be able to get back to where I can cleanly pull my firearm to be able to defend myself. Okay, if you have any questions, you can contact us. Our website is www.3tierdefense. That's www.3tierdefense.com. You can contact us on Facebook or Instagram at 3 Tier Defense. If you have any questions, want any information, I'm going to be putting videos up. I'm going to try to put videos up every Thursday, but if anything changes, if I have to, do it on a Wednesday or move it to a Friday, then I will be posting information on Facebook and Instagram. Basically just saying, okay, this week I have to move it. I always put up what videos I'm coming up with. My video last week, if anybody did not see it, that video was actually storing your firearm around children at home. So that's a very informative video that I did last week. That was last Thursday, I believe it was, or it could have been Friday. But it's actually on Instagram and on Facebook as well. If you just scroll down a little bit, you should see that video. And then this video here was drawn from a holster in a defensive situation. All right. I'll be doing a video next week. Exactly what video I'll be doing next week, I'm not sure. But once I get everything figured out, I'll go ahead and post that on Instagram and I'll post it on Facebook as well. If you need any information about our classes, we do teach Missouri concealed carry permit classes. We teach hand-to-hand combat classes, rifle classes, shotgun classes, home defense classes, firearm retention classes. Firearm retention classes is basically just being able to retain your firearm in a defensive situation. So if you're fighting and you're fighting multiple people, to still be able to retain your firearm in that situation. Or, like I was just talking about, if somebody tries to take your firearm from behind you and your hands or have items and stuff like that in your hand, firearm retention is basically teaching you how to keep your firearm on your person in any type of situation. And then we also just started our youth and young adult firearm training class. The youth and young adult firearm training class is from ages 10 to 18, because here in Missouri, at the age of 19, you can legally get a concealed carry permit. You can get a concealed carry permit at 18, but you have to be either active military or a veteran of the military at 18 to get a CCW license here in Missouri at age 18. Other than that, it's legal to have a CCW permit at 19. So the youth and young adults is basically just a firearm training course for children 10 on up to young adults up to 18 that can't get a CCW permit yet. But we basically just go over the basics. We go over storing firearms, different parts of the firearm, and stuff like that in the youth and young adult class as well. Just to make sure that our children do know about firearms. They're not, guessing or playing around with firearms, trying to find things out. They can come to the course and be able to learn things from an actual trainer. We do have a live firing session during that course as well. But with that course, the children or the youth and young adults will actually be shooting from a 22 caliber firearm. We're not doing anything 380s, 38s, 9mm or anything like that. We're basically just doing 22s just to get them familiar with actually getting their trigger together, their sight alignment, sight picture, all that, and don't really have to worry about the recoil and all of that stuff of the bigger caliber firearms. So we just go ahead and start off with a 22 caliber. Of course, if you have a firearm in your home, you do have children in your home, you can take them to the range, get them familiar with firearms, teach them about firearms and things like that. We'll let the parent do, calibers that are bigger. Again, depending on what you all have. But in the course, we do use a 22 caliber handgun, and it's the same distance and everything as actually doing a regular CCW permit. From the age of 10 to 13, they actually shoot at a target that is 4 yards. From 14 to 18, they shoot at a standard distance, which is a target that is actually placed at 7 yards. but again, it's from a 22 caliber firearm. And in the CCW course, it's 7 yards shoot, and everybody shoot 20 rounds. Have to hit 15 of the 20 rounds within the 7 ring on a standard B27 silhouette target. All right, so that's basically all of the trainings that we do. If you have any questions or anything about any other videos, anything you may have seen, any questions that you just may have, any ideas of any other videos that you all may want to see done, again, go ahead and go on the website. We have a contacts page on there that'll send an email to us, or you can go ahead and send us an email straight through. The email address is 3tierdefense@gmail.com. All right, so I'll go over all of the ways to contact us again. The website is 3tierdefense.com. On Facebook and Instagram, it's 3tierdefense, and the email address is 3tierdefense@gmail.com. Again, this is Curtis Smith with 3 Tier Defense. I appreciate you all for watching this video, and I'll get with you all later. Thank you.